Hello, everyone. We are going to get started. We wanted to welcome everyone to the My Employment Options and Fifth Third Bank webinar on budgeting tips. My name is Pam Barnett, and I am the Rehabilitation Services Manager at My Employment Options. We are the host of today's event, and we are an employment network in the Free Ticket to Work program. To learn more about our free services, you can visit myemploymentoptions.com. A quick technical reminder, closed captioning is available today. If you prefer to turn this feature on, you can go to your Zoom toolbar and click Show Captions CC button. Again, that is click the Show Captions CC button. To turn it off, you can hit the same button. We are very excited to have our partner and guest speaker here today with us, Fifth Third Bank, who will be presenting their best budgeting and financial tips. Now I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Adriana Gaines. Adriana is a personal banker at Fifth Third Bank. Adriana, we are very excited to have you here, and thank you again for presenting this webinar today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Pam. I just want to thank every single one of you for dedicating your time to join our presentation on budgeting. So starting off, I will just give you a quick introduction of who I am and who Ms. Andrina is that I have here with me today. So my name is Adriana Gaines. I am a personal banker at Fifth Third Bank. I've been with the company for about 2 years. I absolutely love helping people achieve their goals, whether that's building credit, learning how to save to purchase a home, or just anywhere from a simple account that they'd like to open. So I'll pass it on to Andrina.
Thank you, Audrey, and thank you again for having us. I'm really happy to be here presenting for everybody today. My name is Andrina Paredes. I am a personal banker at a branch close to Audrey's branch. My branch is located in Baylor Bluffs, Florida. It's close to Largo. I've been with the company for 7 years, and like Audrey said, what we do here is help people achieve any kind of financial goals that they have. Not only open up services like many financial locations, other banks. What we do is provide advice, provide financial literacy to anybody that's interested and to anybody that has financial questions to achieve their financial goals.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Andrina. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so you can see my presentation. Before we begin, I just want to highlight a few of the expectations before we get started. So our presentation today is going to be focused around budgeting. You should have received a participant guide via email, so feel free to utilize that throughout the presentation. And if you do not have that available, no worries at all. You can still participate and take notes if you'd like. We're also going to be using a Q&A chat feature. So this is really going to be used for whenever we're asking for participation, whether or not you can pop an answer. We'll be able to share that with everyone as well. If you do have any specific questions, please refrain from sending those in the middle of the presentation, just so we're able to finish it without any interruptions. At the end, we're going to have dedicated time to go through every question and answer as many as we can. So the Q&A is mainly going to be used for just participation and any comments, or if you have any ideas or any comments on anything. So that's just how that is going to go. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, I just want to thank everybody for being here and dedicating your time to learning more about how to budget. So just want to welcome you to the budgeting workshop. Sometimes no matter how much you work, it can really feel hard to manage your money and get ahead with your finances. So I'm sure that sounds familiar to every one of you. So today we're going to be learning the basics of budgeting. We will explore the importance of creating and maintaining a budget, examining the difference between wants and needs, and set goals for spending, saving, and debt management. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and review our goals for this workshop. So today we're going to explore the importance of creating and maintaining a budget. We're going to examine the differences between wants and needs. We're going to set goals for spending, savings, and debt repayment. And since you may not have all the necessary info to build your budget right now, we're going to use a scenario with a fictional character to help you learn about how to use a budget and how to set that into real terms for yourself. So managing and improving your personal finances are achievable goals. In this workshop, we're going to teach you some steps and some different strategies to budget wisely and productively. Alrighty, so meet Marta. In this workshop, we're actually going to learn about budgeting using a scenario with a character named Marta. So Marta is 40 years old and she works 2 jobs to make her ends meet. She works at a cashier at a grocery store during the week, and on the weekends, she works as a hostess in a restaurant. So Marta makes about $2,000 a month, but sometimes she struggles with her finances. She feels like she just keeps paying her credit card bills, but she doesn't ever seem to be able to pay them off or get ahead. So just an endless loop there. Marta has some short and long-term financial goals. She dreams of taking a vacation next summer and eventually buying her own home. So let's go ahead and see how we're able to help Marta in this situation. Alrighty. So right now, Marta's pretty frustrated because she feels like it's very hard to get ahead with her finances, and I'm sure we've all had that same feeling. So how can Marta help herself get ahead? She needs to A, make a financial plan, B, make a budget, C, have savings, D, live within her means, or E, reduce her debt. So now what I would like you to do is utilize the Q&A chat feature. Let me know what you believe that Marta can do in order to help herself get ahead. And if you can, go ahead and explain the reason behind your choice in this. So I'm going to give you about a minute or so. So go ahead and drop me some answers on what you think is best for her. And I will go ahead and share them with everybody else as well. So it looks like I've got one for making a budget. Good job, Anne. That is an excellent choice. I've got prepare a spending plan. Yes. Perfect. A, making a financial plan. Another one for A, making a financial plan. I've got a B, so making a budget. Well, it looks like Anne said needing a roadmap. I really like that answer. I think she needs to do all of the above. Okay. She needs to do all 5. A and B would be first. I love that answer, Sherry. Thank you for that. Jerika says A, making a financial plan. Perfect. I got another all of the above. I love that answer from Kimberly. All from Allison. And then Justina said A as well. Perfect. Okay, so I love all of the answers. Thank you so much for your participation. I've got a B for making a budget from Isabel. Perfect. So actually, I would say that all of these things can really help Marta, A through E. So any of these can work. All of these can work, whatever you're comfortable with based on your situation. So great job. All these things can actually help her. So today we're going to help Marta set a budget. So let's go ahead and find out how she can get started with budgeting. Alrighty. So we just described Marta as having a $2,000 monthly net income, but do we actually know what that means? So what we're going to do here is we're going to quickly explain the difference between gross income and net income. So gross income, that just refers to the amount of money that you earn before anything is taken out, such as taxes. So this is usually what you get in your paycheck, where you see that really big number before it's condensed down to that take-home pay. So that's what gross means. And then for net income, this is sometimes also referred to as your take-home pay. This is the money that you get in your paycheck, and money is taken out of your gross pay for taxes and benefits and whatnot. So this is what you're left with, usually that smaller number on your pay stub, which would be your take-home pay. So whenever we say that Marta makes a $2,000 net income, that means that that's the amount that she makes after taxes and after all of those benefits and whatnot are taken out. So this figure is going to help us later on in the workshop whenever we help Marta create that budgeting plan. And then we're actually next after this, we're going to learn about the benefits of budgeting and how that can be helpful. Alrighty. So budgeting is the process of creating a plan to spend your money. That's really all it is, and budgeting can be seen in numerous ways for each individual. But here's some of the ways that budgeting may be able to help you. So budgeting helps you live within your means. So that means whenever you budget your money, you're able to create a clearer picture of where your money is going. So by using a budget, you're able to see where you might be spending too much money in a certain area and change those money habits for the future. Budgeting also helps you pay down debt. So by reviewing your budget, you can set a plan to pay down your debt. A budget can help you stay on track as you make payments and help you chart a path to get out of debt. And also it can even help you work towards your goals that you have set as well. And then we have budgeting helps you save for the future and emergencies. So budgeting can help you save money towards your financial goals. Also, budgeting can help you in case you have some type of unexpected financial emergency. So this could be like a car breaking down or a surprise trip to the ER or just an unexpected overall expense. And if you're able to budget for emergency savings, then you won't have to expense those charges on a credit card, which can then lead into climbing debt. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and learn more about Marta's wants and needs and the differences between the two. Alrighty. So Marta feels pretty frustrated and needs some help with her finances. So the first step that she can do is track her current spending so she can see where exactly everything is going. So Marta decides to take a look at some of the items that she has been spending money on. So she makes a pretty decent list of all of her monthly expenses so she can allocate where is going where. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to figure out what would be Marta's wants and what would be her needs. So I will challenge you guys to take a look at the list on the screen. And again, utilizing the Q&A, go ahead and drop down what you think is a need and what you think is a want. So it looks like we've got coffee, groceries, car insurance, cell phone, restaurants, entertainment, car payment, transportation expenses. We've got rent here, health insurance or medical, clothing, utilities, and salon. So using that Q&A feature, I'm going to go ahead and give you about a minute to type in what you believe is a want and a need. And then also I'll invite you at this point in time, if you do have your participant guide handy, go ahead and open it to page 3 and mark an N as in Nancy, for each need and a W for each want on the list. So if you don't have your worksheet, that's okay too. You're able to just utilize the Q&A, but I will give you a good minute or so to go ahead and do that. Alrighty, looks like we got a want, restaurant, entertainment, absolutely. We've got a coffee as a want. I think depending on what person you ask, that could be considered maybe a need, but in my opinion, I would say that's absolutely a want. Someone else says, Kimberly says, want, coffee, restaurants, entertainment, and salons. Perfect. And then we have Nicole, coffee, restaurants, entertainment, and salon. And we have someone else that says groceries, health insurance, utilities, rent. Those are a need, absolutely. And then wants are restaurant, coffee, entertainment. Someone said groceries a need, car insurance a need. Okay, these are all great responses. Restaurants are a want. Absolutely. Okay, and then we've got, I see someone says want would be maybe clothing, salon, need will be utilities and restaurants. So actually all these can be seen a little bit differently, depending on what person you ask. So in my opinion, I would say that clothing can be seen as a real necessity because in order to go to work, to perform your duties, and you're going to have to, of course, be presentable, purchase clothes for that. And then restaurants can be seen as a need. But ultimately, you could really cut out restaurants for making some home cooked meals to save some money there. So it really depends on what person that you ask. I would say maybe food is a need and restaurants could be a want. And then someone says transportation a need, rent a need as well. Perfect. I love all of these Q&As. Health insurance and medical expenses an absolute need. Yes. All right, so moving forward, we'll go ahead and see where Marta can go ahead and cut expenses in the next slide. Thank you for all of your Q&As. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, perfect. So now that we figured out exactly what can be considered a want and a need for Marta, let's go ahead and figure out exactly how much her wants and needs are costing her and see where she can free up some of those funds. So you see right here, we've got wants equaling a total of $333. You've got coffee, restaurant, entertainment. In this case, clothing's a want. And then salon as well. And then in the needs, we have the rent, groceries, utility. We've got the car payment, car insurance, transportation expenses, health insurance, medical expenses, and internet. So as you see, a vast majority of her funds are going towards her needs, which is a very good sign of being able to budget your money. So as you see, the needs are at about $1,485 and the total amount for the wants are $330. So I want to ask you as well, using the Q&A feature again, based on this presented information, do you think that Marta is living within her means? So how do you feel about her budgeting model that she has right now? And I just want you to be honest and let me know, does it seem like she's being pretty reasonable with what she's spending, or do you think that she could use some budgeting? So do you think that she's living within her means? A simple yes or no would be great for this. So I'll give you about 60 seconds to utilize the Q&A feature.
We have no from James. We have a yes, a no. No, she needs to add savings. That's great. I love that, especially for budgeting. A huge one. Yes, a yes, no. Definitely could use some budgeting. I feel like yes, she could have some good strategies there for budgeting. Cutting it close.
I'd agree with that one because we have to remember her net is only 2,000. So this is what she takes home to the penny after taxes and everything's already taken out. And then also, if you do have your worksheet, feel free to utilize that. It's going to have a list of her wants and her needs. And feel free to circle the places where she can cut her expenses and or reduce her spending. Give you a second to do that as well. Thank you for all of your Q&A responses.
Yeah, I love the engagement. Somebody said it depends if she has credit card debt, if she is able to pay it off monthly. Yes, she's living within her means if she can do that.
Yeah, Lori, that's a great response because a little bit in the presentation we're going to be discussing if she does have other debts as well and how that fits into this equation. So that's a great insight to thinking ahead. Okay. Thank you for all the responses. So I'm seeing, honestly, I'm seeing 50-50. Some people are saying yes, she could absolutely budget. Some people are saying she's pretty close. Some people are saying no. And thank you, Sherry, for joining. All right. So now what I'm going to challenge you guys to do is we've already discussed whether or not we think that MARTA is actually being budget friendly and whether or not that this is practical. So if you can, I want you to identify any places that you think that she could reduce or cut her expenses. So I'll give you an example. Maybe, for example, coffee. That's a $40 monthly expense. Maybe she could just, instead of going to Starbucks 4 times a week,
I know.
which it equals out about $10 a cup, which seems a little accurate, to be honest, depending on what you add in your Starbucks. Maybe instead of doing that, she could just purchase maybe a coffee half gallon from Aldi or something like that, or from Walmart, wherever it might be, in order to just cut down on that expense. So that's just an example that I'd like to give you all. But I really want you to come up with your own example on, in the wants or needs, what category could be minimized. And if you want to drop that in the Q&A as well, that would be great. And we can go ahead and share some of those responses as well. Okay, and it looks like Rita, she had a question about getting the worksheet. So our participant guide was emailed ahead of time. If you don't have that, feel free to document some notes on a piece of paper, or you can get that after the presentation as well, and you can kind of be walked through that also.
Coffee cut in half by Made at Home. Yes, that's a great answer. For me, I know at least I love going to the salon, get my hair done. And something that I did was buy the tools that I usually use. And yes, I still go a couple times a year because I don't need to get it touched up that often. But I know how to do it at home. So that's a pretty great solution to maybe save some money there and be able to spend it on something else, maybe save it or put it towards credit card debt, something like that.
Something else that I had noticed when going grocery shopping with my significant other is we would take a trip to maybe Whole Foods or Sprouts, and he would get this really expensive coffee, and the coffee was about $10 to $15, and it added up, especially if you drink it every morning. I mean, $10 to $15 can quickly become $50, $60, or $70. So what he did is he actually buys a coffee half gallon that has the creamer already made with it, and the coffee is actually really good and can't really tell that much of a difference. So we cut down on that as well. So I see that Cheryl said the coffee as well, restaurant cuts, absolutely. Awesome. She could reduce all of the wants by at least half. Salon is necessary at times, but not every month. Does she need to spend $100 on clothes every month? So yeah, Sherry, I absolutely love that. That is a great response. Yeah, she may not need to spend $100 every month getting clothing. I mean, how many of us go to TJ Maxx once a week at least?
I know.
That $100 on clothes can add up very, very quickly. Okay, someone said you gotta live. Absolutely. Alrighty. So thank you for all of your responses. We're gonna go ahead and move ahead to the next slide. So in the next section, we're going to go over some of the things that MARTA can do to actually free up some of her funds. So like MARTA, we all can save money on once by using some money saving strategies in order to free up those funds. So we're going to review some of these strategies right now. So here's just a list 1 through 5 of some of the different strategies that we can use to free up funds. So the first one is cut expenses. The first thing you can do to free up some funds is finding those places where you can cut your expenses. Take a good look at your wants and how much you're spending on things like eating out and making small changes, or be able to cut where you can. The second option we have is reduce spending. So take a look at your other expenses or needs. Can you reduce your grocery bill by meal planning or shopping at a discounted grocery store? Have you considered actually using and cutting coupons? So I'll give you an example. We'll just take Whole Foods, for example. You can probably notice immediately when you walk in, their prices are pretty high. I mean, they've got great produce, great products, but sometimes that can be unaffordable. You know, if you're not bringing in a whole ton of income and you have a large rent bill, for example. So maybe instead of going to Whole Foods, you can go to Aldi, which also have basically the same organic ingredients and food options, but for way less. And then we have Price Shop for services. I absolutely love this one. So consider finding a better deal on car insurance rates by shopping around, or you could actually change health insurance plans so you have a lower monthly payment but a higher deductible. Absolutely. So don't settle for the first option that you see. Definitely shop around. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many different insurance companies when I moved from Michigan to Florida that I had to browse in order to find the best rate as possible for me. Okay, and then number 4, thinking about a new job. So I know oftentimes this can be an uncomfortable topic for people, especially if you're really comfortable where you're at and you're happy where you're at, but just go ahead and think about your current employment status. Would your skill and the job market, are you in a position to earn that raise? Would you be in a better financial position working somewhere else? Or is there something else that you could do to increase your marketability? Like maybe taking a class or learning a new skill. And then the last option we have here is considering a freelance or gig work. Even if you do have a job, this is an excellent thing to do just on the side to supply additional income to what you're already bringing in. So yeah, considering to take that gig work in your field and just kind of going from there. That could be maybe Ubering or Door Dashing, whatever it may be. It really depends. So Marta decided to reduce her spending and consider looking for a new job in this situation where she could use her skills and make more money on top of that. So next, we're going to go ahead and focus on some of Marta's debts. Alrighty. So Marta has identified where she can make some changes to her spending habits and where she can free up some funds. Before I get started on these, looks like there's a couple of Q&As that popped in. If I work in freelance, what options do I have to get health insurance or keep my Medicaid? So it depends on what limitations Medicaid has set. I don't know specifically if they would allow you to get a freelance job and keep your benefits. That is something that I highly recommend to call a Medicaid agent in order to discuss. That is a great question. I would assume that would affect that in some sort of way, but I would advise you to reach out to a Medicaid specialist. And then someone said, I like that she posted monthly clothing expenses so that she can save money in advance of shopping, perhaps quarterly. Clothing may include winter coat, boots, shoes, underwear. That is an awesome observation. Yes, Lori, the seasons change, so we're going to need different clothes. So you have to really make sure that you're shopping strategically and you're balancing that out. Okay. So going back to this slide, Marta has identified where she can make some changes to her spending habits and where she can free up some funds. But Marta also has debt that she needs to pay down that was not included in her initial list of wants and needs. So we need to make sure that she can pay these credit cards off and this debt to be able to live within her means. Otherwise, she's just using credit cards to supplement her income, which really isn't getting Marta out of the situation that she's in. So it looks like Marta has that student loan payment and credit card payments. We've got a credit card A at $400, a 23% interest rate. We've got a second credit card. It has a $300 balance at an 18% interest rate. And we have student loans, it looks like $7,000 at a 12% interest rate. So right now she's been paying the minimum balance on her credit cards for a while, but doesn't really seem like that's working much and she's paying them off. So Marta would like the opportunity to pay off one of her credit cards so she feels like she's actually getting ahead and she's actually making a difference in her situation. So we're going to discuss about the different approaches that Marta can use in order to pay off these credit cards. But keep in mind, we're not going to be using the student loan for just the sake of this example, but it's something to be aware of whenever we're going to be discussing some of the ways that she can pay off her debt. Alrighty.
Okay, so now we're gonna look at two popular strategies that Martha can use to pay off her debt: the avalanche method and the snowball method. So we have these two strategies that can really help her get out of that situation that she's in, where she doesn't seem to be getting ahead or even paying anything off. Those two strategies that we are going to be discussing today are going to be, as you can see, the avalanche method and the snowball method. And let's just go ahead and review both of them. That way we see how we can implement them for Martha's situation or even our own situations that we have going on. When we use the avalanche method, we would have to list all of our, well, in this case, Martha's, but we can list all of our debts for highest to lowest interest rate. We have to ensure that both monthly payments for Martha's are met in each debt category. And we would have to choose the highest interest rate loan to pay off first. Um, in Martha's case, if she used this method, she would pay off credit card A first, since that one has an interest rate of 23%. Using this approach, Martha can save more money in the long term, but it's going to take her some time. Now, if we look at the snowball method, we would have to list all of our debts from the smallest to the largest balance. We would have to ensure that your monthly payments are minimum payments are met every month for each debt category. And in this case, we would choose the loan with the smallest balance to pay off first. If Martha used this method instead of the other one, she would pay off credit card B first, since it has a smaller balance. Now, it seems like the avalanche method makes the most sense financially in this case. And after all, it appears that Martha is going to be saving more money in the long run. Just 1 minute here. Now that we have a couple ways that we can implement to pay off our debt, we would also have to look at our financial future. And in this case, we would have to figure out a way to, in case of Martha, we figure out a way to, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong page here. Are we in slide? Yep. Well,
Okay, so now we're on the slide where we're gonna consider setting those financial goals. So we have 3 different categories. We've got the short-term goals. Those can typically be accomplished in a few months or up to 2 years. So an example for this could be a vacation, or maybe it's having a new job within the next 2 years. And in Marta's case, this is actually going to be going on a cruise to the Dominican. So we'll keep that in mind for her. That's her short-term goal that she plans to go on by the end of the year. We've got medium-term goals that can be accomplished within those 2 to 5 years. So think of something maybe a little long-term. So maybe planning to save $1,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 for an emergency savings, whatever that looks like for you. It's going to be different for every single person, including myself and including Marta. And then we've got long-term goals. These can be accomplished within 5 years or more. So I would say a pretty common long-term goal that we could all share a similarity in would be maybe purchasing a home one day. So what I would like you to do is utilize the Q&A chat feature and go ahead and share with me your either a long-term goal, a medium-term goal, or a short-term goal. Go ahead and drop one of those goals in the chat, and we'll go ahead and share those with everyone as well. So I'll give you about 60 seconds or so to do that.
Yep. Yeah, and as we said, changing money habits can be challenging, and we know that. This is one way that we can make it easier by setting up goals. If you write them down, not only on the chat, but if you use your participants guide, it's easier to look at those goals and keep them in mind. That way you'll know if you have attainable goals that you can definitely accomplish. And setting that timeline can really help you achieve those goals in the long run. If you have something that you know you can accomplish sooner, it'll make you feel better to know that you are getting there. So we have finding a job in a different city. Yeah, that's great as a short-term goal. I don't have any. I'm sure you have some, Nicole. Everybody has goals or dreams, things that would you like to do in the future, and it doesn't have to be difficult. It's easy to look at things, and sometimes we don't really know how to start. This is a great way to start working on how to get where you want to be in the future.
Maybe a goal for you, Nicole, could be to create a goal.
Yeah,
I know that doesn't really seem like much of a goal, but that's a huge goal. So that's actually one of the questions that we ask any of our new customers when they open accounts here at Fifth Third Bank is we ask, what is your top financial goal? And a lot of the times, a lot of people that we've come across actually don't have any goals set in place. And that's okay. Maybe they do, and they just don't have the proper steps in order to attain and reach those goals. So that's why we're here. So if you'd like any assistance coming up with the goal, please feel free to reach out to us. And then someone else said, I am close to retirement, so maximizing my retirement savings is my short-term goal. Absolutely.
I love that.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because that seems like a short, medium, and long-term goal for you.
Yeah.
'Cause it's something that you're going to be working towards for a while until that moment comes. Someone says long-term retirement. I love being able to think ahead and preparing for the future. And then
Somebody said, increase my income in the next 6 months. I love that. Starting my savings. We have retirement as a long term. That's awesome. We have pay off your car in half.
that's a great one. So
In half
instead
of the long term. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that each one of us can do. Let me just answer these questions. Oh, I was missing a whole bunch of answers here. I'm sorry. Finding a job. Okay, I answered that one.
And then some of these questions that might be for my employment options, we'll have a Q&A at the end. So just make sure you save those for the end so we can allocate those questions to the correct people that'll be able to answer those questions. And then someone says you budgeted $2,000. Yep, that was Marta's budget that she had. And then how does a market value home budget with vehicle food? So some of the needs you're able to budget. I'm answering Miraz's question. How does a market value home budget with vehicle, food, utilities, cell phone, and vacation? That's a great question. So a lot of people say, well, if I'm already budgeting everything like vehicle, food, and whatnot, how am I supposed to budget my home? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can reconsider selling the home, purchasing a lower cost one. If it's really out of your budget, you can look at getting a new job so you're able to bring supplemental income to help with that high house cost. There's several things that you can do with that.
Yeah, depending on the size of the house, you could have a roommate, and that's always
Right.
an option there.
We're going to go ahead and move on. Thank you so much for these questions. Let me
Move to the next
go ahead and
slide.
clear all of these. Thank you for all of your participation. We truly appreciate it. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. Alrighty.
Okay, now we're going to talk about creating our own budget, and these are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we are living within our means and that all of our money is being divided up strategically. So today we're going to focus on the 50, 30, and 20 rule and the categories method for budgeting. Now, we mentioned the 50, 30, and 20 rule. In this rule, you would have to spend no more than 50% of your income on your needs. And we looked at Martha's, and coffee and all of that, that's one of the ones, but not more than 50% in needs. We'll be looking at cell phone, rent, groceries, and all of that that we need every month. Um, at least 20% of your income needs to go to savings or a debt repayment plan, and no more than 30% of your income on wants. Now we are looking again at Martha's expenses, and it looks like she made some progress compared to her money that she was spending on all of her wants and needs at the beginning. Now we have a new total for the needs of 1,140. Her wants, she's spending $210 as before she was spending, I believe, 300. We have debt, 300 in payments, and she's even making a savings contribution, which is big. She's paying $100. So we can definitely see some improvement with this method that she's utilizing. On the other hand, we now have the categories method. This is a more detailed breakdown of the percentages in categories, and here's an example of budgeting using the categories method. So we would have to list everything, and we'll decide what percentage of our income is going towards that. We have housing 30%, utilities 10%, groceries 10%, transportation including a car loan 10%, debt repayment 10%, savings 10%, dining out 5%, any car insurance and miscellaneous auto expenses 5%, clothing 5%, entertainment 5%. And now using this categories method, implementing that on Martha's situation, we can see how her needs, her wants, and her debt are getting a little better there, and she's still making a savings contribution with this method of 100. I feel like it's a nice breakdown of all of the money that you have coming in and going out every month.
We also want to make sure, I know when people think about budgeting, it's about, not being able to spend our money to save as much as we can. But you also have to remember, we work really hard in order to pay all of these extra bills like rent, electric, car insurance, whatever it may be. We definitely all deserve to have a little fun sometimes and be able to enjoy ourselves. So please don't feel guilty if you're still going to get your Starbucks like once or twice a month. Like, you do deserve that. You just have to be very mindful on where everything's going and how you're able to allocate those funds in a way to you can be able to make sure you're taking care of yourself and those important needs.
Yeah, definitely. And we are giving you some strategies to budget, and we are going to go over some strategies for savings. But keep in mind that there's no right or wrong when it comes to budgeting and savings. You can use whatever strategy works for you. There's tons of strategies online. We're only going over 2 of them, which we feel are the most useful for us at least. But if you find anything else that works for you, maybe you have a plan in place already that's working for you, that's awesome. You don't have to stick to something just because everybody else is doing it. Do what's best for you and your finances and your situation. Try to find something easy to follow. Because I feel like if you find something that's really hard to stick to, you're not going to be able to keep up with it. And that's not the main goal here.
And everybody's different. Everybody has a different financial situation. So there's someone that I met recently, and he said, I don't know if I'm saving correctly. Like, my grandpa or my dad told me that this is a dumb way to save, but it works for me. And I said, well, listen, like, everybody's different. Everybody has different goals, different plans, and different aspirations in life. Whatever is working for you, please feel free to use that. I know for me personally, you can see the little pen and pad of paper right there on the screen. I love to write things down and to use that to be able to budget myself and to set goals and to-do lists. For me, writing it down in person is so much more valuable than doing it on a computer or on a virtual calendar. That's just me, but it's different for everyone else.
Definitely. Now we're going to go over some strategies for savings. As we said before, we know how challenging it can be to remember to save money over time, especially with the economy and the way everything is right now. But we have to remember that with savings, any progress is good. We don't have to set aside a huge amount of money at all at once. And savings, as long as you put something towards your savings, you have to make sure that But of course, it's good. You have to make sure that you have to stick to a plan that works for you. And then you have to utilize your financial goals to have that in place, that have that plan in place. Now, for savings and some of the strategies that we like to implement to save money is to make a habit of saving. We would have to decide on what amount we'll save each month and we have to stick to it. So we get used to putting our money away in savings. We can also use automatic savings, and our bank has that option. It's really easy and you can access it online. You can change it anytime. It's not because we know things change every month. There's emergencies, things that we have to pay for unexpectedly, and that's okay. If we use an automatic savings plan, we would be pulling money from either checking or any other account, where it could be from our direct deposit right away. We have debits automatically set to deposit that money into our savings. And as I was saying, with our bank, you can change from your phone that amount every month. So if something happens, you can either do a lesser amount, you can skip that, which we don't recommend skipping. Any amount that you save every month is going to make you be ahead. So something to think about. And last, we would have to sometimes limit our spending. And I know we don't really necessarily want to do that, but spending less can make your savings goal easier. So we can sometimes try to put back a little when we can. And that could be for maybe there's something, a short-term goal that you want to achieve. Then you can limit your spending for a little while until you get there. And then you can spend some more money on the things that you like spending money on.
All right, key takeaways. So, improving your personal financial situation is achievable with just having those thoughtful attention, regular maintenance, and improved habits. So there's many tools that you're able to use in order to make that budget. And for this workshop, a sample budget guide is included in your participant guide for you to fill out after the workshop. I know that we had a couple of questions of people that hadn't received that. It should have been emailed. If not, we'll make sure that we can get you an email after of that participant guide, and I'll have my contact information too very soon. So I just want you to remember that there's going to be lots of strategies for budgeting, but the important thing is that you use one to manage your spending, savings, and debt repayment, no matter what it looks like for anyone else. So when approaching your debt repayment, consider strategies like we discussed. We discussed the avalanche method or the snowball method in order to help you. Setting personal, meaningful goals helps you stay motivated and on track in both short and long term. So regular check-ins and seeking help from professionals like Andrina and I are additional ways to become more informed and more aware of your financial situation and options. So if you don't have a banker that is helping you budget or helping you reach those goals, please feel free to reach out to Andrina or I. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for attending this workshop. Don't go anywhere quite yet because we have our most important part coming up. I'm going to go ahead and hand off the slide to my employment options so they can have a Q&A slide there for us. So just wanted to say thank you so much again for attending, and we really enjoyed being able to interact with all of you. And at this point in time, if you would like to ask any questions either to me or Andrina or to any of the My Employment Options staff, feel free to use the raise hand option if you would like to speak, or you can use the Q&A like we've been using to ask any questions. We will give you time for that. Okay, and then well, it looks like someone was asking on whether or not they could get a copy. So right now, what we're going to do is this was live recorded. My Employment Options will put this in a place where you can access it and watch back just for any helpful reminders and tips. Someone said, could you email me the information? All right. Got a couple of questions here. Someone said yes. Hi, could I have this guide emailed to me or access the recording? Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So what I can do is I can either have one of the staff members for My Employment Options reach out and send that to you, or if you'd like to reach out to me personally, I can have them list my contact information somewhere. I have my email address that if any of you have any banking related or specific questions, I would be more than happy to answer them for you. So after this presentation, I will let the MEO staff know that I'm okay with you guys sending me any emails, or if there needs to be a participant guide or whatnot sent, we'll make sure that that gets addressed as well. So thank you for those concerns. Okay. Does anyone else have a question that they'd like to speak by putting a hand up?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I think we're running into some technical difficulties, so we're unable to do the raise hand thing. But if everyone could please just use the Q&A feature, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. So, okay, thank you so much, staff, for that update. So in this case, just go ahead and if you have any last minute questions about the presentation or specifically to MEO staff, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A option. So it looks like we have a really good question or comment from someone that Andrina will go ahead and read here.
Yeah, pretty resourceful, Lori. Thank you for sharing that information. It says people who have a disability that began before the age 26 may save and invest their money in an ABLE account. And this is how you can open an ABLE account online. And we do have those type of accounts, as Lori said. You can go ahead and follow that link. I don't have access to that link, but I'm pretty sure that's going to take you to our website. You're going to be able to open that account depending on your needs and goals that you're trying to achieve here. That might be a great solution. Now, keep in mind, I don't want to go too deep into the products that we offer, but our checking account right now that we offer is free. It's called the Momentum checking account. So if you're trying to save money by not paying a maintenance fee or maybe not having a minimum balance requirement on your checking account, we do have those options, and I can tell you they help a lot when it comes to budgeting and savings, because you wouldn't have to pay that extra money to keep your bank account in good standing every month. And not only that, but since you are now going to have a new job, I'm assuming they're going to pay with direct deposit. If you have that option, we have a amazing $300 offer at both Audrey's branch and mine. You have the option to open that checking account for free without a minimum deposit to open it or a maintenance fee every month. You can get your direct deposit switched over to us, and as long as you make at least 500 within 90 days in direct deposits, you can get $300 as a sign-on bonus. So we have that little incentive there that it's really, really good. It goes a long way.
Okay, so someone said, how do we get your email for the guide or access the recording? So what I can do is give you my email if you'd like, and I will let the MEO staff know that they're more than welcome to send out my email. If you'd like to write it down, my first name's Audriana. It's A-U-D as in Delta, R-I-A-N as in Nancy, A, and then dot, or like a period, Ganis, my last name, G-A, N as in Nancy, U-S as in Sam, at 53 or 53, just the numbers.com. If you didn't get that, we can always have the MEO staff send that out or list it somewhere as a reference. Or you can always play back the recording and just type it into your phone if you weren't able to get a pen or paper in time. So let's go through some of these other questions.
Audriana?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, this is Lori Adler with MEO. I just wanted to let everyone know that everyone who registered will go ahead and send you a follow-up email within the next probably couple weeks. We just make sure the recording turned out okay, and we can include that participation guide with that as well.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Lori. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem.
We have another good question here. It says, what if I said, this is my credit score, 690. How are my odds of improving the credit score with financial planning and budgeting? What would you recommend to improving this credit score? So we would have to look at your credit history, I would say, and see what's affecting your credit score. There's so many things that we can do depending on what's really that factor that's affecting you. One of the good solutions that I'd like to recommend is signing up for a secure credit card. We have that option here, and for that, you would have to put aside $300. We'll lock it up in a savings account, and that would be your own line of credit. Now, this is for you to show your responsibility and commitment in making those payments every month. And when we report that to the credit bureaus, we don't tell them that it's a secure credit card, that you're working with your own money. We report it as any other credit card, and it helps you tremendously with improving your credit score over time.
Also, a key factor and when you're utilizing credit cards and that nature is 30% or less like utilization is good, because although you want to use your credit card to prove that you have good credit history and you're in good credit standing, you don't want to overuse it. So 30% credit usage is usually a really good percentage for people to be able to see that their credit is then helped by that. And then can I start up for world level online making money every day?
Not sure what that is.
Yeah, I'm not. If you're referring to, are you able to start up like an online, like side gig to make money every day? That's what I believe that you meant to type. But in that case, absolutely. If you're comfortable going online and being able to pick up some side gig or side job with any of the platforms, I know that a lot of people like to sell things on like eBay or Mercari or even Amazon, or using online platforms like Uber or DoorDash in order to make some money. That is absolutely an option. It depends on your schedule and your situation, but that's always an option.
There's always apps as well if you're looking for a side gig, maybe something you can do in a free afternoon that you don't really have much going on. There's always Amazon Flex. You can pick up shifts to deliver packages, and I think they do every, I think it's like about 4 hours blocks that you can pick and deliver packages. It's only 4 hours. It's not like a full commitment of showing up to like a job every day. That's something that I see a lot of people doing. Maybe Uber Eats, turn on the app one night and see what you can get, depending on if you need a little bit of extra money that month. That's something that I see a lot of people doing, and they do pretty good without having to go that extra mile to go to another job, maybe have a part time. It's something that you can do more like your own timing type of thing.
Or maybe you enjoy making, sweaters or something on the side, or if you like to make paintings, you can always have a small business as well. Anyone can do it. And really, if you have a skill or a talent that you believe people would be willing to pay for, take that and run and use that to your advantage. And, that would be an extra way to get some additional income. And then Lori, thank you for the compliment. We absolutely love that you thought that this was a great presentation, and we will hopefully be back to do additional presentations on different topics in order to increase your financial literacy. So I'll give it another 30 seconds or so for some last minute questions, but while we wait, it looks like we answered all of them. I just want to, again, thank you for this amazing opportunity in order to share with you different budgeting techniques and tips. So we'll leave it on that and then just wait for any other last minute comments or questions.
Somebody else said, thank you for the webinar and thank you so much for attending. I would really appreciate you being there, and we love being able to provide financial literacy. I want to say that it's not easy to get out there and ask all of your questions. I know it's hard. You never know what is going on in somebody else's life, and sometimes it looks like everybody has everything figured out. But most of us, we need help in different areas. So if you have any questions, feel free to email us with anything that you'd like to know. Maybe you'd like to have a little meeting, an appointment. We can guide you to that way everybody can meet their financial goals. If you have any questions and you feel a little lost, you don't know how to start, we can definitely help you with that. So thank you so much for the engagement. I really appreciate it.
Okay, and then on that note, we're going to go ahead and pass it over to MEO, my employment options staff. If you would like to add anything So here's just a thank you slide. And actually my contact info is listed right there on the bottom. And then for Andrina's contact info, I will email you her as well. Hers, if you want to reach out to me and ask me for hers. And then any questions that you might have for MEO, please feel free to reach out. But we'll go ahead and pass it on over to MEO. Just want to say thank you so much for having us. And we really enjoyed being able to interact with all of you. So thank you again.
Adriana, I want to thank both of you for all the great tips and information that you shared today. It has all been very helpful. This concludes our webinar. Everyone who registered for today's event will receive a follow-up email within the next few weeks, which will include a recording of the event. On this slide, you will see both our websites listed. Anyone who is on SSDI or SSI disability, you can go to myemploymentoptions.com and hit apply now and apply with us. We also have Fifth Third Bank's website listed, which is 53.com. And thank you all again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.